Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. Today, we're going to be looking at a gap scheme drill guaranteed to improve your run game, especially your gap scheme run game. And it's so overlooked by coaches all across the country for decades, a millennia even. Has this particular block been overlooked? Hey, but before we get into it, I got a couple of commercials for a couple of friends. Let's look at this right here. All right. Next weekend, this is 2023, as I talk to you, and I know these things are supposed to be evergreen and people 20 years from now can watch them. So if you're in the future right now, just fast forward through this. All right. It is February 8th as I make this video and as it gets posted to my YouTube channel. Next weekend, Thursday, February 16th through Monday, February 20th, there'll be a coaching summit from allaccesscoaching.com. No X's and O's. It's all about culture, leadership, team building, parent relationships. You can see the list down here at the bottom. Okay, and here, this is not a link, but this is the website you can go to see about registering. I do think today is the last day for the really inexpensive or cheaper registration fee. It's not that much to begin with, but the early birds get a really good deal. So go over to that website. I'll be speaking at this clinic on the full Be Elite thing that you hear me say on all my videos when I say Be Elite at the end. If you don't know what that means yet, check me out. I'll be speaking on that at 6 o'clock, okay, on Friday, February 17th. Okay, and then the next morning, I think at 9:30, well, when you register, you'll know I'm going to be giving my tips for coaches from my experience in nearly 4 decades of coaching high school football. So I've got 2 sessions, and none of it's on X's and O's. None of it's on game planning. It's not on. I think there is some practice organization stuff, but it's not any like it's true on the field stuff. You can see there at the bottom. Oh, I got one more commercial for you. Let's see. My friend Kenny Simpson, okay, used to be a coach in Alabama, like yours truly, is doing one of his gun tea clinics. This one is not online. It's up the road from me. Those of y'all don't know, I live about 60 miles south of the Atlanta airport. This is just west of Atlanta at Chapel Hill High School in Douglasville, Georgia. And it's Kenny's gun tea stuff. Kenny and I visit a lot. We met years ago. I saw him coach, went to scout a team that he was playing that we played later. And then a few years later, I met him at a clinic. I can't remember if he was just speaking or both of us were speaking, because I've spoken at that clinic as well. But we got to be friends, and he's really helped me out with my YouTube channel and give me advice and some of the things I've been doing, like with it. And also my Big Book of Bucks is available on Kenny's website. But Kenny's just a great dude. He's got a great system. Some of it I've actually implemented into my system. That's how good it is. And Coach Chip will be speaking at Kenny's clinic at 9:45 on Saturday the 25th. This is a 2-day clinic. It's a deep dive install. I'll be speaking as a guest speaker. There's another coach coming to speak. He has a really good system. He's won a lot of football games running this gun tee system in which he marries wing tee principles, okay, blocking wing tee, running wing tee type plays with spread principles, using RPOs and things like that, the fast screens. It's a cool system. Look him up. He has a few videos on YouTube. He's got a great website. You can see down there below tons of materials, things that can help you out. Go over there and check him out. But his clinic is coming up, like I said, in 2 weeks from the time I post this. Remember, I told y'all it's February 8th. So I post this on a Wednesday. It's a week and a half. from today. So you got the clinic coming up. I mean, excuse me, it's 2.5 weeks. Uh, the coaching summit is coming up in a week and a half, the week before this one. That one's online. That one's online, and that will be the 16th through the 20th. It's all online, and there's some way it's set up where you get in on it. You can look at this stuff, replays until March 11th, and all that. And then Kenny's is coming up the next weekend after that, and it is X's and O's, and it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. All right, let's get started. What we're going to be doing here. All right, guys, let's get to some football stuff. Please keep those clinics in mind. Now, the most underrated, neglected, but yet important block on a power play or on a counter, a GH counter, would be the backside gap hinge, the play executed by the backside tackle. And we're going to show you a few drills here, simple drills. They don't require a lot, maybe a cone, just something to put on the ground. You can use a person, use a bag, I don't care what it is. You can see over here to the right, there's 6 different versions of it, and there's all kind of against different scenarios, against different fronts. But we call it the gap flip. I started calling it that years ago because I wanted to stress to the kids how important it was to protect that gap. Because what they'll do, they'll just blindly, because in practice, you're not getting that hard pressure off the edge from your scout team and guys shooting that gap. And the kids just get into it. It's not that they're doing it on purpose, they're not being lazy, but they just don't protect the gap. They just step and flip their hips. Step in the gap and then hinge, forgetting why they're stepping in the gap. And it's not their fault. It's our fault as coaches that we're not stressing this block enough. All right, let's look. All right, now this right here, watch it right there. Okay? See? Look, that is a good football play that goes for about 3 yards when it probably could have gone for 15 yards and scored a touchdown. Maybe got 3.5. Let's look at it in slow motion right here. Okay? Like I said, it's not necessarily laziness. And in this kid, it's not. I can tell you what it was because I was coach on the staff. I was the OC, and this was dead on me, okay, for not stressing this enough in practice. You know, that old saying, expect what you accept, okay? And if you're not coaching it, you're allowing it. And I know different coaches have different takes on that, but come on now. I mean, you got to do some self-evaluation when you watch film. If you're on the film critiquing the kids first, you're probably not looking at the film properly. Anytime you're watching game film, practice film, critique yourself first. Okay, look inside you. Be self-reflective. Am I doing what I need to do? Because I've never been around a kid intentionally sabotage a play. Okay, so watch this. He's going to do a little slide into the gap. See, just wrong foot, and he turns his hips the wrong way and not fighting across his face. And the guy's in a 4. Okay, which tells you right there he's 50-50, and he should be anticipating that, and that should be taught. Okay. All right, now here it is versus a 3. This is the way that you would do it. Get you a cone, a bag, something like that. Of course, if it's a tight end doing it, if you're running counter back the other way to the weak side, your tight end's doing this to a 5 tech or even a 4 tech. All right, but don't worry about the end man on the line of scrimmage. Okay. Unless he comes right in here. We got to get this cat. Don't let him do this like you just saw on film. Okay? So shut it down right there. If the DL comes with the B gap, he needs to pick him up and work his hips in. Work that inside hip in. And if the guy keeps fighting, you go with him. Don't let him cross your face. If he gets to your nose, you should be running with him and see if he can make a tackle with you staying on him. Okay? All right, here's the same scenario. We've got a 3 tech right here, or a 5. If this is a tight end, let's just say it's the tackle. And he's still in the 3, and he spikes across the face right here. You're not going to catch him. This guy's not going to catch him. You step gap. The reason I put gap on the rule is I want to stress this guy needs to protect the gap first. If the DL squeezes like on this, when the OG pulls, then he's just going to flip or look for something running through here, backside linebacker or that DN trying to come across right here and shoot B gap. So who's going to get this guy? Hopefully your center's blocking back. Okay, but he's not going to make that block. Okay, now you can tighten up the split and do what I call a shoe shine block and throw his body, a cross body block right there. Yeah, it's legal as long as you do it right away. Okay. All right, now here you see it versus a 3 and a 5. This would be like a split 4 look. Now, I did it 2 ways so you could see, it's this say the DL, this is a linebacker. It doesn't matter. That's the end man on the line of scrimmage. Okay. If this guy's coming hard outside, it's the same thing. I just wanted you to see. I don't care about the name of the position. We care about the technique they're in. This is a 3, this is a 5. This is a 3, this is a 5. The fact that this one's a linebacker is irrelevant. He's up in a 5, he's in the count. All right. So if he shoots straight up the field, you're going to get in here and gap flip right here. Okay. Because remember now, this is on power or on counter. And the guard is gone. He's either wrapping on power or kicking on counter. So what you want to do is you want to get down in here. This guy, you got B gap. If you want to put on your rule, B gap hinge, okay, for the tackle. For the tight end, C gap hinge. So you've got this gap, and this comes from coaching. If the DL comes upfield when the OG pulls, comes straight up in that gap, he's in the B gap, you've got him. If that 3 tech shoots up the field, your tackle's got to know, I've got him because he's in the B gap and I'm responsible for the B gap. After all, his gap scheme. And it applies to the backside as well as the front side. Front side tackle responsible for B gap, backside tackle's responsible for his B gap. So if he comes upfield, he's in B gap, work your feet and your hips, get inside. Do not let that joker cross your face. All right, this is the gap hinge drill versus a 3 and a 5. Okay. If he bends it, he's gone. He's squeezing. If that DT squeezes when the OG pulls, you get down gap, flip your hips, and get that D in and don't let him run it down. If he's squeezing like a son of a gun, that center's supposed to get him on the back block coming right here. All right, so that means this guy's coming right here. Don't let him run it down from behind. All right, now, this is what you saw in the video, the clip at the beginning of the presentation. You got a 4 tech right here. That is a 50-50 player. We call it the 50-50 principle. If that dude is in a 4 tech, he's 50% coming this way, 50% coming this way. Okay? If he's in an odd technique, a 3 or a 5, he's a 70-30 player. Now, this goes back to, I read this 100 years ago, probably in Scholastic Coach magazine before we had online coaching help, where in college football, an odd tech was 70-30. 70% they were going to play the gap they were lined up in. So a 3 tech's got the B gap. A 5 tech would have the C gap. Okay, what we call a 2I today, 70% of the time, he's going to be in the A gap. That was in college. I don't know this for a fact. I've never done this study, but we don't see as many trying to cross face on slants in high school ball. I would say that number is probably 80-20 or even bigger, 85-15 in high school ball. If that dude's in a 3, most of the time, he's going to play the B gap. That dude's in a 2I most of the time. All right, so if he's in an even technique, such as a 2 or a 4, he's 50-50. Okay, but if he's a 2I, a 4I, a 3, a 5, a 1, they're going to play the gap they're lined up in, I would say 80% of the time. And you say, what does that mean? It just teach your kids, give them an idea. So, okay, if that guy is 50-50, I need to play worst case scenario. I don't need to fire out. I don't need to anticipate this guy coming right here. This is the first threat. And I need to get my butt in here. And if he comes in here, I got him. If he runs straight up the field, then I gap hinge. Okay, it's that simple. Well, here's the same alignment. You got a 4 tech, head up, and you got a linebacker outside. he's kind of in a 5, walked away kind of deal. Okay. Ghost 9, whatever you want to call it. And that DL, that vortex slants inside. The tackle's got to get him. That backside tackle's got to be. Can't wait to see what he's going to do. You got to take if that DN pinches, you have to take those steps, almost like what they call the gallop steps. You got to get your butt in. I'm going to show you some videos of some dudes at Michigan doing it really well. You got to fight your butt inside. Okay? The backside tackle must understand that he's responsible for a gap, not a man. Okay, now be alert for an next stunt. If this guy goes out, you don't go out with him. You've got that big gap because that linebacker could be X and coming right here and run the play down from behind. Okay? All right, now here's 3-3 stack kind of thing. You got a 4 tech and a guy stacked behind him. Again, don't guess. Don't guess. All right? You got to come in here not knowing. But what's worst case scenario? Him right here. Worst case scenario. What's the second worst case scenario? Him right here and him out here. So you got to get in that gap. You do not have the DN if you've got gap hinge. Or as I like to call it, gap, gap. Flip. I say flip because they're going to flip their hips when they get to the end. Okay? You got to step in there. You can step all the way down in there because that B gap's going to move. When this guy does this, that B gap's moving. Okay? And the well-coached defense knows that B gap's moving. So if one of these cats has got the B gap, they're going to follow that. So you got to get your butt in there, understanding the gap keeps its integrity even though it moves. Does that make sense? Let me clear this right here. Okay? This is the B gap. All right, as they move, as he goes here to pull or block down, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay? The B gap goes with him. The B gap begins at his outside hip. This is the right guard, this triangle. The B gap begins at his right hip. And as he moves, the B gap moves with him. So if your backside tackle is stagnant and doesn't move and stays there, what happens to the B gap? It's getting bigger. So he's got to squeeze with the B gap to shut it down. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Okay? We'll get a conversation going. All right, versus a 5 tech. Again, anticipate maybe a backer right here, blitzing. Always look for worst case scenario. Don't just fire out or don't just step out here like you're high walling on a pass. Okay, get in here because if he runs out here, he better be one gifted joker if he's going to bend that thing, catch it from behind, or we need a new running back. I can promise you that. Okay. Okay, now this is a high school kid doing it pretty well. Watch right here. Look at him. He's not waiting to see. This guy's kind of in a 5. Watch number 70. He's going to get in that gap. Okay, instead of hopping, he probably should have took that right foot. But look, he got in there and he shut that gap down. This is a high school kid right here. He's a sophomore or junior. Good football player. Smart. Okay. All right, let's look at Michigan doing it pretty daggum good. All right, now I know this video is going to go over 20. That's because I did the commercial at the beginning for the 2 clinics. Okay. I remember I ain't worried about it. That's why you got pause on your phone or on your computer. You can always come back and wonder YouTube. It picks up where you left off. Now they're going to run counter left. Now to me, it's really not a counter because there's no counter action. It's just going to be like a buck. This dude's going to cross face right here, but they're counter blocking it. Okay, I can't remember if this one is a G and an H or a C and an H. Okay, same thing. All right, watch this cat right here as he does his gap flip or gap hinge, as most folks call it. This guy right here does a really good job working his outside hip on his down block too, by the way. Watch 71. There you go. Yeah, that was a center and an H pull. Again, watch 71. He's going down to make sure he takes care of it. Boom, right there. He knew he had his guard there to help him. His guard was going to take care of the B gap. So this one was pretty easy. He's got to make sure that kid can't, right there, the DN can't cross his face. He does a good job. Okay. Now, here's another one. Now, this is 76 doing it right here. Okay, GH. There you go. Good job, buddy. Okay, you say, well, these are college guys. Guys, y'all teach your kids to do it. They're playing against high school kids, and you coaching high school kids. Some good down blocks there, too. There's a video coming from this on down blocks. All right, watch him. Boom, right there. Got his center blocking back. And he's just making sure that DN can't cross his face. All right, 71 again. Same kid as a while ago. Watch, I think this is one where he comes all the way down. There's one where he comes all the way down. Good example of the B gap expanding. Yep, watch. He ends up getting that linebacker. Now there's two guys outside. Y'all see that? There are two guys outside. They're not even on the clip right now. One of them is right here. Okay. But here's the thing: if they're not crossing his face, they're probably not going to catch this cat. Okay, we say, well, that's a college running back, and that's a college DN. That's the Ohio State University. But watch this kid come all the way down because his B gap is going to move from here to here. Okay, the outside edge of that B, excuse me, the inside edge of that B gap is going to move when that center pulls. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, give me a holler, siegel.chip@gmail.com. And when it moves, he's going to keep coming on down, making sure he's shutting down the B gap as the B gap moves. If he'd have stuck one step and flipped and got this guy right here, you'd have had a run through right here, making the play. Are y'all watching? You'll see what I'm talking about. Watch 35, the linebacker. If 71 doesn't shut down that B gap as it expands, see? All right, 76 this time. Watch him. It's a pretty good play. It checks. Almost checks out. 76 steps in there. Make sure. He's got a three tech right here. Now, yeah, the center's going to pull. Because look here, they do it like I do my buck. Part of the reason I do my buck that way was watching college guys block gap scheme. He's going to get that A gap D lineman. He's going to get that B gap D lineman. He doesn't have anybody in his gap, so he's going to pull and kick. And your H is your wrapper right here. Okay, I think this thing bounces. All right, so this guy blocks out with that angle made in heaven. He makes sure he doesn't get beaten B gap and gets that backside five tech. It's just that easy, guys. It really is that easy. Easy to say. Boom. It's a good football play. All right, back to the stop. Back to the start. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again so much for tuning in to Football Talk with Coach Chip. Do not forget the coaching summits. The coaching summit on the 16th and 20th of February. This is 2023 for those of y'all listening in the future. Like I said, come check me out. If I'm still kicking, I'm in the old coach's home. Don't forget Kenny Simpson's Gun Tea Clinic, okay, at Chapel Hill High School in Douglasville, Georgia, and that's the 24th and the 25th of 2023. And I've got your web addresses right here where you can go on and get more information and find out things about the money and particular times, see schedules and all that good stuff. So be sure to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what's wrong with you? Subscribe to it. Don't cost nothing. Just go ahead and click on subscribe. If you want to click on the bell, every time I put a new video up, you'll get an alert. You won't be, I promise I won't call you. Now, if you email me at siegel.chip@gmail.com, I will put you on my email list, but I don't send emails soliciting stuff and all that. I send out things like stuff, maybe promoting a video I just did, or maybe something that I thought was pretty cool I wanted to share with y'all, just kind of like a Coach Chip book, my own little social media thing. And I don't do it all the time, but believe you me, no spam. I'm not going to hit you up, and I'm not selling your email address. I can promise. I wouldn't even know who to sell it to. So if you got any questions about what we did today or any other videos, be sure to email me, hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Chip Siegel. I'm also on Facebook at Football Talk with Coach Chip. And I'll reply to your questions and comments because I want you to help you and your team succeed. That's the honest to God truth. That's why I do what I do. I want to promote good coaching. I want to help coaches the way I didn't get help because we didn't, this way, I'm not complaining. We just didn't have this stuff back in the day, back when I started. You had your clinics, and there weren't that many of them like there are now. And just, we sure didn't have Twitter and Facebook where we could share ideas and have a perpetual coaches clinic going on. All right, so please like, subscribe, and then tell your buddies about it. Send it to them, okay? You see something you like, tell me. I'll send you presentation. I'll send you this presentation. By the way, this was a preview of what I'll be talking about at the Kenny Simpson Clinic. I'll be talking about the power, okay, running power out of gun, how you marry it in with the gun teeth stuff. And there'll be a lesson in there about a little more detail in that talk about the gap flip, the Gap-Hinge. Okay? All right. Hit me up. Let's get a conversation going. And until next time, hey, y'all, be elite.